What's going on, everybody? So in today's video, we have some huge news surrounding the WWE and some major plans for the Royal Rumble. Sounds like they got some surprises being lined up, and I'm actually really excited about that because we all saw what happened at TNA Genesis, plus there's this crossover. So we got to talk about that. And of course, we got to talk about WrestleMania 42. A lot of us have been under the impression that it would be taking place at Wembley Stadium, but now there's some new developments about where it's going to take place, which I obviously am super excited about because I have some very fond memories there. And yes, the WWE transfer portal has been open. Let's talk about it right now on the Angle Show. All right, guys, so first things first, we're going to kick things off with the WWE transfer portal. Adam Pearce has announced today live on social media that Bayley has been moved to WWE Raw. Finally, it seems like we're getting some stuff out of this transfer portal. However, I was a little disappointed with the fact that Adam Pearce did announce that Bayley will be taking on Nia Jax on tonight's episode. It's January 20th, 2025, depending on when you're watching this video. Bayley, Nia Jax, I feel like it's getting a little bit of repetitiveness, but then you have to wonder if WWE is going to continue with the Roxanne Perez storyline with Bayley. You know, if Bayley were to get screwed, right, then obviously it makes a lot of sense for them to have her go back to NXT and then have a program with Roxanne. I mean, they've already planted that. The seeds have been planted. They're working on it. They're building it up, which I would be okay with Roxanne being on Netflix tonight to kind of prolong this. But this idea that Nia Jax, a SmackDown superstar, is going to go on to Raw and have a match with Bayley, to me, it just kind of kills the idea of the brand split. It is being explained thoroughly. It is being explained logically from Adam Pearce, you know, making a video and saying, hey, I spoke to Nick Aldis. This is what we're doing. So I at the very minimum, at least appreciate that. But we have a very deep roster on WWE Raw, a very deep roster on SmackDown. I don't think we should be having recycled matches. That's just one of the things that I'm not really too fond with. But just a couple notes that I want to make really quick on Bayley. I'm a huge fan of her work. I think she's going to be great. I think we need to freshen up the women's division on Raw. So Bayley being able to go on Raw will be great. But we got to move her away from Nia Jax. We got to move her away from Tiffany Stratton. We got to move her away from, you know, Naomi and Bianca Belair and everything with the stories that they've told on SmackDown. Eventually, once Bayley gets done with this storyline with Roxanne Perez, I personally would love to see Bayley in a storyline with Rhea Ripley, with Liv Morgan, with Lyra Valkyria, with Dakota Kai. Keep in mind, Damage Control is on Raw. Maybe WWE finds a way to bring them back together, and I think that could actually be a really good idea, especially being a babyface group. That brings us to our second topic, WrestleMania 42. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about this. It appears that New Orleans is expected to be the front runner for WrestleMania 42. At least according to PW Insider, New Orleans is reportedly the front runner to host the event in 2025. That doesn't make sense. 2026 would be more like it. Sources within WWE have been circulating this rumor for the past month, and it is now gaining traction locally in Louisiana. Indianapolis is also reportedly under consideration to host WrestleMania in 2027. With that being said, there was some very interesting news that dropped from WrestleVotes, which was that WWE would be doing a WrestleMania press event on Super Bowl weekend, Saturday, February 8th, which, by the way, for those who don't know, New Orleans is the host city for the NFL Super Bowl. So obviously, if WWE were to do a kickoff for WrestleMania this year, have that press conference, have that event with all the stars and everybody there, it does make a lot of sense for WWE to do it. And it would also make a lot of sense for WWE if they do have this event to announce WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans at that event. Now, personally speaking, if you guys follow me, you know I'm going to keep it 1,000% honest with you. My first ever WrestleMania experience was WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, and it was hands down one of the coolest experiences I have ever had in my life. And so New Orleans will always have a special place in my heart. That experience, that entire weekend, the Raws, the SmackDowns, NXT, the Hall of Fame, the indie shows, all of those things that I got to experience at that time were absolutely phenomenal. And it was just such a great time that I've always said I would love to go back to New Orleans, and I would really want an incentive to go, meaning there would have to be a big event to go to. And WrestleMania being in New Orleans would just be an amazing thing for me personally. I thought the experience of being down there, Bourbon Street, with all these wrestling fans, everybody's having a good time. The food in New Orleans was incredible. The hospitality in New Orleans was incredible. I just can't say enough positive things. Like, there's just so many things I can say about my experience down there. And it really took that entire weekend that was for wrestling and work. It made it feel like an actual vacation. So it was just hands down one of the best experiences. So, of course, I am excited and elated that New Orleans could be the place for WrestleMania 42. On the contrary, it does make me a little bit more intrigued to know why talks with Wembley, or at least in the UK, what has happened. Why isn't WWE bringing WrestleMania there? There has been a lot of momentum towards that topic, and we haven't seen anything yet. Personally speaking, I think WWE will eventually bring it there. But I do recall a time where the NFL is looking at doing something in the UK, possibly bringing the Super Bowl there. And obviously the UK is going to pay their money for the Super Bowl versus wrestling. So that is something to pay attention to. And that brings us to our final topic. Joe Hendry is now the TNA World Champion. WWE does have a lot of plans for the Royal Rumble. Now, the real question is, what's going to happen? Who's going to be there? Well, apparently WWE is planning some major surprises for the Royal Rumble. PWInsider.com has now reported that they've heard from WWE creative sources that there has already been a pitch for a top TNA star to be in the men's Royal Rumble match. Now, it is unclear who it could be, but obviously Joe Hendry, working NXT in the past, now the world champion. This would be huge. I spoke about this on the live stream as well. I want Joe Hendry in the Royal Rumble. He will obviously look better in the Royal Rumble with the World Championship. Look, he's not going to win the Royal Rumble, right? It doesn't matter what surprises WWE has. The surprises are there for the pop. They're going to get the social media numbers. You're going to make a couple moments. But Joe Hendry is not going to go in there and eliminate 12 people from the Royal Rumble. He's not going to go into the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble. But it would be a fascinating story if he were to go in there, maybe even finish in the final four or final five, then getting tossed out. And maybe for WWE, because of this partnership, having an NXT star throw Joe Hendry out of the Royal Rumble could be a really cool way to actually get Joe Hendry into NXT for a program with whoever throws him out. So, maybe you even get double the surprises. For me personally, though, Joe Hendry makes a lot of sense. I think for WWE, it's the Royal Rumble. You want to bring in some notable names. I think Joe Hendry is the one that's going to create the most viral moment, but it shouldn't shock you that WWE and TNA are going to create some sort of moments in some sort of capacity in this situation. So for me, I'm super excited about it. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching The Ango Show.